I'm recording this late, but it came to me that I wanted to talk about a tactic that certain men use to break you down, to humble you, and for whatever psychological reason they have for doing that, so that they can make you, I guess, more manageable, more palatable for them, or just to embarrass you. But what they'll do is, and it can happen in different stages of the relationship, but say you've just met someone and they immediately start flirting with you. They'll create a false sense of intimacy with you, and then when you reciprocate or want to ask more questions about that to intimate a deeper connection, then they'll turn on you and make it seem like you're the crazy one for wanting to have so much closeness or intimacy with someone that you've just met. So, for example, what I mean by that is that they'll start creating this sense of closeness. They'll start future faking. They'll call you by certain pet names. They'll intimate marriage or a future, or talk about how wonderful you are and how much you connect. And objectively, how long you've known this person, and objectively that you don't really know that much about the person, and all of these feelings that they have for you could not possibly have come up over time. However, our objective intellectual minds are always subjugated to our feelings. And in this case, especially so, because these ideas that this could be a connection so fast start to overrun your rational mind that's saying, well, it's kind of too soon. And even if it were possible, we just don't know that much about each other. Every romantic movie that we've seen, even movies that aren't necessarily romance movies or love stories, they just might have a love story subplot. Every story that we've read, it seems to be that they've put this idea in our head about these things are possible, that there's such a thing as love at first sight, that you can meet somebody and have such a deep connection, and that connection can manifest itself into a life together of years and years. Fairy tale stories of princes just meeting random women in the forest who have fallen into comas and instantly falling in love just by looking at them and deciding to go ahead and kiss them. It can go as far as having sex on maybe a first or second date, or it could just be little sweet nothings over the phone. But however they choose to do this, it still comes out to the same conclusion. You may not feel as embarrassed, of course, if you've only just talked to the person, literally just talked to the person, but still you shared a part of yourself and made yourself vulnerable. You may not feel as embarrassed if you actually had slept with the person, or I should say, you may not feel as used if you had actually slept with the person, but still there is that sense of having been taken and having been just fooled by someone, and you start to doubt your own sensibilities, you start to doubt your own perceptions, you start to doubt your own ability to discern whether or not someone is good or bad, you start to doubt whether or not you really are just chasing after someone who had no indication of even wanting to be with you. If it were possible to take a recording device with you everywhere to replay these conversations, then you would see that you're really not crazy. And that's why texting, as much as I'm kind of against just a complete text relationship, texting can be valuable in this case because you have a running record of what was said to you and then what that person wanted to get out of you by saying that. So ladies, the point of this is that you're not crazy. Even if you find somebody, and it's possible you could see somebody and just be completely head over heels. I haven't really had that feeling since high school. That's a whole other story. I'll do a whole other video about that. Even with this giddy feeling of, oh, I've just met this cool guy or what have you. Even with that feeling, it's kind of like the anticipation of the process is actually part of that feeling. You're anticipating getting to know this person. You're anticipating finding out things about this person. You're anticipating having first with this person, whatever, first date, first coffee. The first time y'all went to mini golf and the ball got stuck and he climbed into the water trap to get it, whatever. And so don't deny yourself that part of the process by wanting to skip to the end, or I should say being pushed to skip to the end by somebody who's just trying to push you to have that gratification of having someone like them and then they can spurn them. It can also manifest itself in relationships that you've actually had for a while. And I've had this happen to me. And you've known somebody for a long time, you've been in maybe just like an off and on relationship or kind of thing where he's not really steady in commitment. And one of the gaslighting techniques they use to keep you around but not commit to you or have any responsibility or invest in you is that they'll do all this future faking. They'll lead you to believe that you're so irresistible to them And then when you turn around and say, well, what are we doing? Wanting a commitment, wanting to know where you're going together in life, they're looking at you like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not in any rush. And I actually had somebody that I've known for 10 years, and I was very naive, and I'll go more into that in different videos. But I was very naive because I had just come out of my marriage, and I had come out of a strict, controlling religious upbringing, and my romantic relationships were very much tailored. And I didn't get a chance to find out really the nature of men and my relation to that, how and what I wanted. So I'm dealing with the paradigm of how I grew up and then trying to fit into a society with totally different values and trying to figure out what it is that I should do. And men will just have a field day with that. Even I'm not even talking about anybody hitting you or abusing you or insulting you or calling you names or anything of that nature, but they'll just manipulate you because they know that you're putty in their hands. And so once he got me into a space where I'm vulnerable, then he can look at you and say, we have this future together. Then he can look at you and say, oh, I'm not in any rush. So I just wanted to bring that to light and talk about that. And I'll talk about that a lot more in subsequent videos. But ladies, especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time, there's no rush. If he really liked you or just anticipating getting to know you, he would wait on that, and he wouldn't mind you asking him questions, and he wouldn't make you feel stupid for asking those questions. In fact, it should actually be the opposite. If you didn't ask questions about what does this mean, where are we going, then I would think a more normal thought process, she's not asking me any questions, she's not holding me accountable for what I'm saying, then she must not be interested. And I think that's a more healthy outlook that a man would have, that any human being would actually have, but that a man would have. And I have to say this to myself first, that would stop you from being vulnerable, just for making sure that you're still using your head. Because ladies, don't be duped. Thank you.